Hey folks, it's Jeremy, the host of Blammo. Thanks so much for listening. This is a preview of one of our exclusive shows on Patreon. These are member-supported shows, meaning they only happen because of our incredible members and community. So check out a preview of the episode, and if you like it, consider joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/Blammo, where we have tons of exclusive Blammo episodes, shows, our amazing Slack group, and we're adding new things for members all the time. If not, no worries, we still love you, and we literally have hundreds of episodes of Blammo all free for you to dive into. Thanks so much.
Hey, Derek. It is good to see you, my friend.
That was a very game show intro.
It was.
I have a unfortunate story to share.
Oh.
I think last episode we chatted about the blazer button issue.
That's right.
And it turns out that the Waterbury company wants a minimum order of 144 buttons in each size because they're a manufacturer.
Okay.
Right? Which didn't occur to me. I just thought like, oh, well, I'll get permission from my school and get these blazer buttons. But then they said, okay, you got permission. Now you have to order 144 in each size.
In each size?
Yeah. So basically for a tailored jacket, you need your front buttons and then you need the sleeve buttons. And so those are two sizes, 144 in each size, which as a total order comes out to around $600, which I thought about actually buying because then I figured I could just sell the sets,
Sure.
like just over time.
Yeah.
But I just said, nah, forget it.
That sounds like a headache.
So there's a company called SD Supply.
Okay.
SD-supply.com, and they sell Waterbury buttons for California's state symbol. So if anyone's looking for Waterbury buttons, I would just go for the state symbol, assuming that you can't get your school or your organization, which is apparently impossible now. Although I do find when I was looking online, you can still get them for like the elite Ivy League colleges like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, because those guys are probably going to be wearing blazers
all the time
forever. So my lowly school will not. So anyway, that is my unfortunate update. I looked for electrician buttons.
Yeah,
we looked for them. Both.
There were some really cool ones.
There were some cool ones, but only available in the sleeve size.
Oh, okay.
And you'd have to order 144 of them.
Maybe I could put them on the photographer's jacket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eat one button on each pocket and I can have 144 pockets.
Yeah. What a bummer. I mean, just completely gone, I think, from menswear at this point.
Man. Well, the subject of today's pod is actually really interesting because as a menswear pod, we do talk about a lot of different things, not just classic menswear, which we both appreciate, but then on the outer fringes of menswear are some things that are really cool, but really hard to pull off. And so I thought, let's talk about these high risk, high reward items because, man, they can be really cool or they can just be a one-way ticket to hilariousness.
Yeah. Yeah, when you told me about this idea, the first one that comes to mind, because I'm always watching I'm always following like Japanese fashion media, blogs and lookbooks and Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
First one that came to mind are these like super oversized fits. We're not talking like La Mer. We're talking like even beyond what was worn in the 90s. And I think that's really popular in Japanese streetwear. And it looks really, really good if styled well and on the right person. But you can also just end up looking clownish, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if the sleeves are too long, which they are very often modeled with the sleeves too long. I think if you have a voluminous cut, that's one thing. But then if the sleeves are too long, it looks like you're wearing your dad's coat.
Yeah. Two things come to mind is that I think when I think about oversized fits, like truly oversized fits, I think it's useful to pay attention to the idea of shapes. So just like you think of like a tailored jacket, like like either an overcoat or a sports coat or a suit jacket, when you shorten the hem, what you're essentially doing, if you don't change anything else, if you shorten the hem, you will essentially create a boxier silhouette.
Right.
And if you lengthen the hem, you create a rectangular silhouette.
Okay.
I think the same is true when you're thinking about a really oversized fit. You have a certain like bodily frame. And if you are a shorter or taller figure, as you widen the leg line or the jacket or whatever, you're essentially creating a boxier, stouter look.
Yeah.
And I think that's easier to pull off if you're super tall, because then you'll still keep those like vertical lines.
Okay.
But if you're a shorter guy and you're wearing these like super wide pants, I think it's good to keep in mind, like when you're looking at a lookbook, there is a certain shape that you're attracted to. And it's useful to think, am I attracted to a rectangular shape or a square shape? And then if you're trying to recreate that fit on yourself, it's better to think in terms of the overall shape versus just these vague ideas of like big or whatever. Because you might be looking at a very tall model, and to get that same silhouette, if you're a shorter guy, you may want to just slim the leg to keep the proportions that you liked on the model.
Yes.
And while still having that idea of oversized, but it's not so oversized that you end up distorting the silhouette. That's the first thing. And the other thing that I've been thinking about is that as you're wearing oversized fits, what often happens is that when the fit is so oversized, you're essentially concealing the body. You're like hiding any semblance of a human underneath. And that can look cool, but if you want to look less swamped in the clothes, it can be useful to, as you noted, like make sure that at least like your hands and wrists are showing.
Yeah.
Or showing, like you can even crop the leg line so that there is some like visible part of the leg. So it's not
actual
just this,
human body.
Yeah, like so it's an actual human body. I think it's hard. It can be hard. Like if you're talking about a classic tailored outfit, sometimes that follows a certain idea of how the leg should look. But if you're doing like these kind of like more experimental looks, I wouldn't necessarily just like hack off the leg and then hope for the best. Roll it up, pin it. Ideally, like roll the pants on the underside of the pant.
Right. Yeah.
And then pin it and see how you like the look before you just like hack it off.
Yeah. And then wash it first.
Yeah. Wash it first.
I have made that mistake where I've cut it or I've hemmed it and I wash it and then it shrinks another half inch to 1 inch.
Yeah. I think showing just a little bit of a human body underneath helps the fit look like you're still a human underneath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the high risk, high reward, the first thing that came to mind is some of those oversized Japanese fits, like the truly streetwear ones are awesome. But then I think like realistically how you can incorporate that. And sometimes you can end up looking like you just are swimming in not even your dad's clothes, but like, you know, the leftovers of the sales rack or something.
Oh, right. Well, they only had one size and it was triple extra large.
Yeah.
And I normally wear a small.
Yeah. Although I have been watching old 90s hip hop videos and a lot of those feature oversized clothes and they all look great to me. I was watching some of the old Dr. Dre videos, old Mobb Deep videos, even like Mos Def, all of those oversized fits. I mean, some of the Japanese ones are even larger than that, but some of those old 90s videos, if you visit them, I think they look great.
If you have an oversized jacket that has knit sleeves, so something that will hug your wrists, and that will prevent it from spilling over your wrists. And so I've noticed that now that you mentioned that about the 90s hip hop videos, they all had really big starter jackets, all of which had, I mean, not just starter jackets, but a lot of them were starter jackets or team jackets. And a lot of them have knit cuffs, which prevent it from spilling over your wrists.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about, something to consider.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed about oversized fits is that if you're going for an oversized fit and you're going for an overcoat, you can do one of two things. I find that if you do a cropped overcoat where it just hits your thighs, it looks very sad. But if you do a cropped where it's just on your waist, or if you do a really long one where it's about mid-calf, either one of those extremes looks really good, especially if the jacket is worn open. I have a leather jacket, which is a car coat length, and it looks okay if you're wearing slimmer to classic styled pants. But if you wear oversized pants or if you wear flares, it doesn't really look good. But anything cropped seems to elongate your legs, which gives you a sense of height. And then anything long will automatically draw the eye from top to bottom, which again gives a sense of height. So I think if you are going for any of these oversized fits or just overcoats in general, if you get it a little cropped so it hits right at your waist or just a little bit below, and if you get it really long like mid-calf, then it's a really flattering look. And it prevents you from looking like you just threw something on. It looks like you thought about it.
Yeah. I would also add that I think when you're wearing oversized fits, I think it helps to pay attention to visual weight. So to give an example, if you get a really oversized overcoat, I think it helps to wear a chunky sweater underneath, because if you only wear it over like a dress shirt, sometimes the visual weight of the overcoat looks imbalanced with the kind of like thinness of the undershirt.
Right.
So No Man Walks Alone has that new knitwear line from, I'm going to butcher the name, but I think it's pronounced Okochi Mariyasu.
Oh, yeah.
Mariyasu.
That's so nice. With the shaker knits.
Those are really, really good, nice, chunky knits.
Yeah.
And those would look great under an oversized coat. It's sort of the same thing with oversized pants. You can, I think, in some cases wear like a tiny loafer underneath. But if you're at a loss, it's always easy to do like a chunky shoe.
Yeah.
Because if you are thinking about visual weight, if you have an oversized overcoat, a chunky knit underneath, and then wider pants and a chunky shoe, it's basically like a normal fit, but just enlarged and it's all in balance.
Yeah.
Again, play around with it. But if you put on an overcoat and it doesn't feel right to you, I think sometimes wearing a chunky knit underneath, just everything comes together.
And not that I am promoting this, but I have noticed that if you do have a wider leg, then you can, again, I don't recommend this, but you can get away with square toe shoes.
Yeah, I know. Those are coming back and it's so controversial. Talk about high risk, high reward. Is that on your list?
It is, actually. It is on my list. The next thing I was thinking of are square-toed shoes. And
high risk.
High risk. So they have been derided probably more than double monk shoes because they look orthopedic, they look Frankenstein, they look
robotic.
But if you wear it with a really wide fit, they look really, really good. So I was looking at 90s vintage Armani ads. And this was around the time that I was working at Armani in the mid to late 90s. And square-toed shoes were all the rage from the mid 90s all the way into the 2000s practically. And they look hideous. I'm not going to lie. They look terrible with suits. So with classic menswear, do not wear square-toed shoes. Just, it's wrong. But if you're looking for something a little more fashion forward, you can wear square-toed shoes with wider fits, but they have to just kiss the top of the shoes.
It is, to me, it is such an incredibly, that's the highest risk that you could possibly take. I've seen so many fashion dudes try to pull that off, and it often looks so ugly. I've yet to see it in really good, like everyday, normal, non-fashion ad context.
That's a good point. It looks great in Rick Owens, but that's not every day.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the Rick Owens fit is, yeah, I agree. In Rick Owens, I would add Rick Owens is the one real, like something someone can actually wear. I'm talking about the reemergence of like the Cole Haan type of square-toed shoes. Yeah. And that has come back, and I just, man, so many of them just look so ugly to me.
Again, I don't recommend it, but if you were to try it, and you wanted to dip your toes into it, it's a very, very particular look. And it really only looks good with, like I said, check out 90s Armani ads. This is, we're talking about bringing back the V-neck.
Yeah.
And t-shirt look.
Yeah.
With square-toed shoes.
Yeah. The one thing I'm careful of is that there is a specific, like, super hip look at the moment that involves square-toe shoes. It's like very kind of like dime square, like hip. And then it does look good. But sometimes when you scroll through photos and you see like 10 guys looking like that, it is also like, it's like a double monk for your entire body. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you're so dressed by the internet.
Yeah.
And I mean, all of this, I mean, we're doing a podcast at the moment and people are listening to a podcast. So all of this is dressed by the internet, but good Lord, man, some of those fits are like, it's like just like a beanie for a personality. It's just so cliche. But yeah, high risk, certainly high risk.
High risk. What's your high risk?
My next high risk is stratospherically high risk. So high risk that I would never recommend it. But I will admit that on some guys, leather pants look really good. So off the top of my head, I can think of Lenny Kravitz, for example. He posted a video where he was literally lifting weights in leather pants. And
That's right.
He was wearing like a mesh shirt. That man has never looked bad in his life. I think he came out of the womb looking stylish. Luca Sabat, he wears a lot of leather pants, always looks great.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison, obviously super classic leather pants look, always looks great. And Leon Bridges sometimes wears leather pants. Future sometimes wears leather pants. I like Leon Bridges' look just in general. I think he's super stylish. And I mean, when you see those photos, to me, it's like, it's undeniable. Those guys look fantastic.
But it's a very, very directional look. It's very rock and roll. It's very cowboy.
Yeah.
And if you're going for that, you can't wear it with sneakers or flip-flops.
I've seen Lenny Kravitz wear it with flip-flops.
Leather pants with flip-flops?
I've seen him wear leather pants with, but he is like on a level of sexiness that is like, you just have to like take that into account. You know,
he's
like
Lenny Kravitz.
The man is, he's got everything. He's got looks, status, talent, everything going. Yeah. So then you have to like understand that if I wear the leather pants and pair flip-flops, I'm not Lenny Kravitz. So, you know, but I agree. It would be easier to do it with like side zip boots.
Yeah.
Or like cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Something that communicates rock and roll, country sexiness.
I tried it.
You tried leather pants?
Yes. So
did your wife see it?
So technically there's suede.
Okay, that's still leather.
Which is still leather.
I think suede might even be tougher than leather pants.
Suede is actually easier because, and I'll tell you why, because leather has a very definitive connotation. Whereas suede can be rock and roll or cowboy.
What was the cut of the suede pants?
I'm glad you asked. Tighter than what I would normally wear.
But what was the bottom? Tapered, straight, or flared?
So it was tapered. So they were Ralph Lauren, and I still have them, if I'm not mistaken. And I wore them with, you've actually posted a picture of me in them. And I bet you didn't even know they were suede pants.
What color are they?
They are tan, and I was wearing it with the Acne shearling in the snow with big boots.
Oh, yeah.
So those are suede pants.
Off the top of my head, I thought those were moleskin.
Ah, I tricked you.
Are they dark brown?
No, they are mid-brown tan.
What does your wife think of your suede pants?
She likes them. But
really?
My wife is kind of rock and roll.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of goth chick.
Yeah.
So she does like that look, but it's not the kind of look where I can just exit the house wearing and, you know, just get the mail or, you know, go to get a cup of coffee. It's definitely
the thing about leather pants or suede pants to me is that they're expensive.
They are.
It's not, you can't buy a $30 version of leather pants. So you are going way in. So the risk is not just that you'll look bad, but that you'll have spent a lot of money to look bad.
Yes. And it's not as though it's something that a lot were made so you can get vintage.
Yeah.
Because people know it's a high risk thing to get. And so they didn't make a lot. Ralph Lauren does. You can get vintage ones. I got these were vintage. They made them, over the years. The double RL ones are really cool looking, but again, it's a very directional look. I just got 5-pocket suede jeans, basically, and wore them with boots. I wore them when I was on my motorcycle. It's very much a look, but it's not something that I wore often.
Savas did a photo shoot where some dude was wearing a tan leather trucker jacket, if I remember correctly, and matching leather pants. And it looked really good.
See, that's a look.
Yeah, that's a look. And it looked really good on him. It is partly like I think you kind of know if you're the kind of guy that can pull off leather pants. The other thing that comes to mind is Avery Trufelman did a podcast episode once. Trying to remember what was the theme, but she visited someone who works as a dominatrix.
Okay.
And got into full leather bodysuit. And apparently those people have to like lube up to get into the bodysuit.
Yeah.
And she noted that
I can't imagine getting into a bodysuit without
a leather bodysuit.
A leather bodysuit without some assistance.
Yeah. That if you get them tight enough, I suppose you'd have to lube up, but are they breathable?
The leather ones that I have were lined, obviously. they would be really rough if you were wearing them against your bare skin. So they were lined. If you were wearing a leather bodysuit and it wasn't lined, that would be very chafing.
Yeah.
That would be difficult to put up with for too long. Yeah, without a little bit of slickness underneath.
What's your next entry?
My next entry are hats. And I'm not just talking about beanies or caps. Hats that have some kind of personality. So fedoras, cowboy hats, those
I agree.
can be, I would say it's...
Fedora, you can quickly like slip into neckbeard territory.
Yeah, you can be very milady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also look fantastic. Our friend Andy.
Want to hear the rest? Listen to the full episode and many more other exclusive episodes over on our Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Blamo to sign up and join the Blam fam. You also get access to our exclusive members-only Slack group where we chat about this and a ton of other things. So head over to patreon.com/Blamo and we'll see you there.